All right, everybody, let's start having a conversation about a player I haven't talked about yet. Forgive me if Chris has already talked about him, but I have yet to talk about him, and that is running back Kimani Vidal. And I think this is a guy who could absolutely make a big difference for the Chargers this year. I know everybody's talking about how it'll be a year or two in the future and things like that, and I agree with that. But I'm going to tell you why players like this don't slip to the sixth round. I feel like a broken record. I'm just going to come out here and say it. I said it about Cam Hart when he was drafted like 140 overall, something like that. I said it about Brendan Rice when he was drafted like 225 or somewhere in that range. And I'm saying it about Kimani Vidal. You don't see players with this type of athleticism, with this type of body, if I'm being completely honest, and in his case, with this type of production. And we're going to dive into all these things. You don't see him selected in the sixth round. I understand running back is a devalued position, all right, even though free agency went nuts. And I understand this wasn't a great running back class. But the more and more I watch Vidal, like the more and more I think to myself, is this the best running back in the class? Like as far as a what could the ceiling be from a purely running standpoint, from a breaking tackle standpoint? So let's look at a little bit about him. Let's look at some of these stats that I'm talking to you about, and then let's look at where he fits in this team going forward. Because while it is a loaded running back room and a full running back room, I think that there could be a lot of options for him even this year. We'll get into that. All right. So first, the Chargers selected him with the sixth pick. He's out of Troy. All right. It's a rather peculiar one, as they said. Team already had a few running backs on the roster, so the guess would be that they saw him more as a depth piece. Not so fast, my friends. It says, however, Vidal does bring some value to this team, even if he may be buried on the depth chart. He was great in the passing game as a blocker, something that new head coach Jim Harbaugh puts a massive emphasis on with his blocks. So now we're going to get here and we're going to hear an insider talking, Alex Insdorf. And I want to talk about this first because, as we've said on this channel, we're Lions fans. We don't make any ifs, ands, or buts about it, but we love Jim Harbaugh, and so now we love the Chargers. They can be our AFC team, I guess. And so we followed him out to the West Coast. So if you're new to this channel, we're trying to give a non-biased opinion on your Chargers, and like and subscribe if you haven't already. But here's the thing about Jim Harbaugh. He is a guy that is obsessed with the little things. There are more Michigan offensive linemen in the NFL right now, currently playing on NFL rosters, than any other college football team out there. There's more Michigan offensive linemen. There's more Michigan edge rushers on NFL rosters right now than any other college football team. That's because Jim Harbaugh believes in building the trenches. That's why Joe Alt was your number 5th pick. But also, you don't get on the field for Harbaugh at Michigan when he was there if you couldn't pass block. Sorry, if you could not pass block as a running back. And if this is something that he is good at, that will help him get on the field earlier than later. All right, that'll help him get on the field earlier as later. All right, so let's see what Insdorf had to say. Vidal probably won't have much volume in year one as a runner behind Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. False. I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. But that's where his ability to do the dirty work comes in. He is a ferocious blocker despite his size. Why are we acting like he's small? We'll get into that in a little bit. As Ortiz mentioned in his press conference, while he didn't play special teams at Troy, he has the profile of someone who could instantly have a role in Ryan Ficken's unit. Yeah, because he's a bowling ball. All right, and that's where we need to talk about this. Let's just talk about the size for a second. He's 5'8", 218 pounds. All right. When he actually weighed in at the combine, he weighed in at 213. So it's not like he's sitting here as a small guy. So let's not act like he doesn't have this big size. So when you say, oh, he's a good pass blocker despite his size, yeah, because he's not tall. You got to get in people's way as a running back. You need to be able to read the blitz, and you have to have the ability to get low and have leverage. He can do that at 5'7". He can absolutely do that. And so that is why he was an effective blocker. So I don't understand the despite his size. All right, but let's continue hearing what's said here. More absolutely bananas Vidal numbers. He has forced, read this, 141 missed tackles in the last 2 seasons, 81 of which came last year. While he doesn't have bonkers athleticism, again, false, we're going to talk about that. In terms of in-game speed, he makes up for it by being arguably the most elusive back in the class. He's almost a more athletically juiced up Blake Corum, as demonstrated in his RAS testing. So, when you sit here and you say he doesn't have bonkers athleticism, no, he doesn't have bonkers athleticism, but he does have great athleticism. All right, he has an overall RAS, if you're unfamiliar with it, RAS grade is 8.69. RAS is relative athletic score. He's the 229th most athletic running back out of 1,745 running backs ever tested. Here's what's amazing to me. He's 5'7", almost 5'8", so he got a 1.16 there. That killed him. All right, that killed him. If he doesn't have that, he's over a 9 easily. His weight, still good. Like, his weight's good, even though he's 5'7". So his weight for his height is remarkable. And his 40-yard dash was a 4.47. His 20-yard split, his 10-yard split, all were great. He is almost a top 10% speed guy to ever test. Can we stop saying he doesn't have game speed? All right. His vertical, his broad jump, he has great explosion, like everything about it. When watching the film of this guy, my main takeaway was that he has the contact balance. That's unbelievable. It's better than Blake Corum's. Okay? He has, and I love me some Blake Corum. All right, but he has the contact balance. He has the vision. What he does too often, if you ask me, is he cuts it outside. He's going to need to learn to cut back into the center of the field in the NFL if he wants to have long success. So once they can teach him that, to cut back inside, and that he's not going to outrun everybody, because this isn't Troy, right? Like, there are more juiced up athletes in the NFL, then I think he will be doing just fine. But let's not act like he's this player that's not good. So let's look at some other numbers here that you just got to love. 5.6 yards per carry on 300 attempts. It's not like the team didn't know it was coming. He toted the rock over 20 times a game. All right, to be able to carry the ball over 20 times a game and maintain that yards per attempt, no matter what league you're in, is really impressive. Even more impressive, 14 touchdowns. He's a wrecking ball. All right, this is solid. And you know who he reminds me of? J.K. Dobbins. Like, that's the size profile that he has. And it is, again, it's a lot like Blake Corum of Michigan. His rushing grade, through the roof. His ability to find the gap, through the roof. His elusive rating, through the roof. His zone grade, through the roof. Yards after contact, phenomenal. Like, the dude is just a good running back. So why am I sitting here saying he's going to play when you can see the running back room of the Chargers? Clearly Dobbins is ahead of him. Clearly Edwards is ahead of him. All right, J.K. Dobbins, how many times has he played more than 2 games in a season? Right, basically it was his rookie year, and he's just been injured. You have J.K. Dobbins, you hope he's healthy, because if he's healthy, he's a top 10 back in the National Football League. But if he's fully healthy, that's a very big if. All right, and then you have Gus Edwards, because he's just your bell cow, right? Like, he can just be the guy, you give it to him, he's 240 pounds, downhill runner, get you 3-4 yards every single time. But he's 29 years old. And then you have Isaiah Spiller, who's more of that change of pace type of back. I like Isaiah Spiller, just to be clear. Like, I really like him. I think he's a good player, and I think he has, in the right system, which he will be in now, he can really have some success. But Kimani Vidal is kind of the best of all worlds. All right, and I think that you might be able to, if he can get past Spiller, he's going to have 100 carries this year. Yeah, because Gus Edwards isn't going to carry the ball isn't going to have 400, and J.K. Dobbins likely, unfortunately, won't be healthy all year. For the entirety of the year. So Kimani Vidal might get some early run, and you're going to see the running back of the future. I really do. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoy the videos. If you do, hit that subscribe button, and hey, see you on the next one.